All right, number 7, let's call this one Make Your Bed, borrowing from the title of the relatively famous commencement speech that Admiral William McRaven gave a few years back at the University of Texas, a commencement speech that eventually became a book in which he emphasized the importance of small things like making your bed to successful men like Mr. McRaven. Of course, not everybody's going to agree, but for him, attention to detail first thing in the morning was important. And it reminded me of why I was struggling so much to make sense of this chapter. See, I was looking for something deep and profound. And what was really standing out to me in chapter 7 was, in some ways, the repetitive simplicity of the offering that they're making here at, in many ways, the consecration of the tabernacle. See, as opposed to earlier chapters where we were looking at the unique role that each person or each family was playing in the nation, or we're looking back in Leviticus at the unique nature of the sacrifices for the different individuals in the nation. The uniformity stood out to me here as each tribe, essentially, I'm sure there's some differences I overlooked, but for the most part, they're offering a standard offering, and it's really not all that complicated. And it stood out to me as being important for a number of reasons. One, I remember the general pointing out, and he said, sometimes it's just as simple as getting an early win first thing in the morning. And that's one of the lasting things that stood out to me. I actually need to go back and listen to the speech again. But another thing that stood out to me is in all the different times that I've had to move or make significant shifts in life, I have been impressed by the degree to which simple things over time make me more nimble and prepared to make moves in a hurry, understanding that life does not always send me a permission slip when it's sending changes my way. And so an unmade bed by itself is nothing really to obsess about, but life rarely leaves it at an unmade bed because it's busy. And so an unmade bed accumulated into a pile of dishes or a room that's left unchecked over time can turn a 1 or 2 day move into a week or a more likely month-long ordeal. It's just a waste of my time. And so over time, I've learned that even though the attention to small details like that annoy me in the short term, in the long term, they save me days. And so simple things like making the bed carry over into your work life, because it's not just making your bed, it carries over into the way you're handling business during the week. And so if you can get in the habit of making your bed and keeping things straight at home so that you're not only nimble at home, that's habit forming. And in a lot of ways, it can hopefully carry over into the way that you're taking care of the simple details and staying nimble in your 9 to 5 life or whatever your work life looks like. And so ultimately, when you're looking at simple things like making your bed, it might not be necessary to obsess over it, but even successful people like Admiral McRaven have understood things like what we're seeing in Numbers chapter 7, when in a few chapters, God is going to have them celebrating Passover again and then getting on the move. Sometimes as a leader, it's important to put your people in position or put yourself in position to have some simple wins in preparation for great moves, because they're going to be moving pretty soon and they don't necessarily know it until that cloud lifts up from the tabernacle. But part of being prepared to move is keeping the simple things in order. And over time, I've appreciated the ability to simply be more nimble in life. Why? Because it's not always about making a major life change. Sometimes you'll have opportunities to just hang out and relax that you can appreciate more when you have everything in order in a way that you wouldn't when you're neglecting the small details like making your bed. So as we go forward, my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that we can try to, as best we can, pay attention to the small things, not so that we can only be prepared for major moves, but so that we can just be prepared to relax, worry-free at a moment's notice.